Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is July the 2nd as we rip off a page of another baseball month and head into July. Cardinals finishing strong, 7-3 on the last homestand, heading to Pittsburgh, 3 games over 500 and 6.5 behind the Brewers. How do you feel today, July 2nd?
I feel like their best chance is to just get into a wild card spot because the Brewers don't lose for some reason. I don't understand it. I mean, there's still a world where like we look up in a month and they're 3 games back, and then it's real. Like it only takes a good series for one team and a bad series from another to swing it that way. But it just doesn't feel like anytime the Cardinals are on a run, the Brewers let up any ground. It's frustrating.
Yeah, well, you just said you looked and they were losing 3-0, and then about 10 seconds later, you look back up and they're tied 3-3 with the Rockies. So that's
Yeah.
how it be. It just feels like that. I still don't understand it. I still don't buy it. But every time I say that, they just keep winning. Now the Cardinals 7-3 in their last 10. The Brewers are 6-4 in their last 10. It does feel like the Brewers are always playing teams that are bad. I know that's obviously not the case, but it does sort of feel that way.
Or they're playing teams that are good that play bad against them. It doesn't make any sense. Like their
Right.
rotation is not good. I don't care how they perform. It's not a good rotation at all. Like they had a guy, let me see, this guy that started today for them. Stresny? I don't know who
Yeah.
these people are. They're making them
No.
up. And he went and he was an opener, I guess. So they did that dumb thing they do where they don't tell you who the starter is. And then they go with an opener. It's whatever.
Yeah, well, okay. Coming off the Reds, we both predicted them to go 3-1. They obviously went 2-2.
Mhm.
Shellacked in the two losses and winning in a total of 3-0 in the two wins. I mean, hey, you'll take the 3-0, you'll take the two wins. But right now, the offense has started to sputter again, it feels like. And once again, sitting right in the middle of that is Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Gorman, the guys that we thought were going to be the 3, 4, 5 guys and the bulk of the RBIs and the power, and they're doing none of that for this team.
Yeah, I don't know like where I would rank my concern amongst those three, but think I'm concerned about all three of them. Like I think Nolan Gorman is going to be a guy that can carry you for a couple of weeks, but his hot streaks have not lasted very long this year, and his cold streaks have lasted a long time. And that's like at some point he's got to figure it out. The guy that I'm concerned about more than anyone is Arenado. And not just offensively, defensively, like he cost him a game in this series. He just not he's not a difference maker anymore. And if anything, he's making a difference in the wrong way. And that's you can't have $35 million sunk into a player that's losing you games and not winning you many.
Yeah, it is very frustrating. Wells Gorman won for his last 23 with 13 strikeouts or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that what it was on the homestand? What do you?
Mhm.
We had somebody. We posed a Twitter question. What would you like us to talk about? Where do you stand on that? Obviously, the talk right now is send Gorman down. That feels very
Yeah.
reactionary. But when does it become time to start talking about that? And I think I kind of know where you stand on this. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think sending someone down needs to be done for a reason other than he's playing poorly, especially if it's Nolan Gorman. He led your team in homers last year. I think he had your third best OPS on your team, third or fourth. He was legitimately a top three hitter on the team last year. The team was bad, I get it, but Wilson and Goldie were good, so he was only behind those two. Um, So are you sending him down because he's playing poorly as a punishment? And I think that's kind of what fans want. Are you sending him down because you think it's going to help him? My opinion is they're going to send him down, and he's probably going to struggle for a bit because he's in one of those ruts right now. And then he's going to get really hot for 2 weeks. They're going to call him up after, and then you just wasted his hot streak. Like, I don't think he is a guy that if you send down is going to automatically become more consistent. There's this thing where it's like, hey, if you guys send a guy down, he's automatically going to get better at the things he's not good at. That's not how it works. There has to be a plan in place. And you're not just, what are you going to go down there and say, tell all the AAA pitchers to only throw him high fastballs? Like, is that what you're going to do? Because that's not how it works. So I don't think there's
Yeah,
any benefit to doing it because logistically, will it help him? No. He's crushed AAA multiple times already. He's just going to do that again.
it definitely feels like he just maybe needs a couple days to reset. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think you can call it a benching. That's what people will call it, but that's not. I mean, just give him maybe a couple days to work off a tee or to work on whatever he works on in the cage and whatever he works on with Ward, whatever it is. That might not be a bad idea to give him just a couple days off. Obviously, going into Pittsburgh, he could also get hot in Pittsburgh. The ball flies there, so like we could easily see that. Now you're
Made
facing
his
what
MLB debut there.
Keller, Jones, and then the
Jones.
lefty Perez. I think, on Thursday.
Martin
So
Perez,
that's
yeah.
not a bad day to give him a day off there on Thursday.
I wouldn't be opposed if he's still struggling through this Pirates series. I think they're going to end up facing at least two, maybe three lefties in Washington. I think it's going to line up to where they're facing three lefties in Washington. I'm not playing him. And if he gets hot, then you play him every day. But if he's still struggling, and let's say he goes 1 for 12 with 6, 7 strikeouts in the series, then you just set him for 3 days, let him get a rest. Like that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Now hopefully that doesn't happen. He hits a couple of homers off Mitch Keller or something, and then we're looking back and it's like, okay, he's back. But yeah, batting 190, no matter if you want to say streaky or not, that's not good enough. Especially with his OPS now down, I think below league average now. That's not good. It's not good enough.
With Nato and Goldie, I think one, you're stuck with Arenado. I just don't see any way this club can extend Paul Goldschmidt past this year. And I hate that because I would love to see him, because I love him, and I would love to see him retire as a Cardinal.
Maybe
But
he
that's just,
does.
to me, not good. That's just not good business if you're the Cardinals.
Maybe he retires. Like that's a
You think?
possibility. He's a family man. I don't know. He hasn't said that obviously, but would it shock me if this year doesn't go the way he wants? If he says, maybe I'm done, that wouldn't shock me. Other than maybe chasing some Hall of Fame accolades, which is the last thing Paul Goldschmidt has ever seemed like he would do is come
Correct.
back to do that. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. Alec Burleson's my first baseman next year. That's what I'm planning for. Like he's put himself in that conversation. Like even now, their team might be better if they traded Goldie at the deadline and put Burley at first and called up Jordan Walker. But I don't think they're going to do that, so it's not a point worth talking about. But yeah, Goldie, I'm not as worried about. Nolan Arenado is the concern. Like he's a guy that can really hurt this team for the next 3 years if he's not better.
And
Like
you're
really hurt him.
really, you're stuck with playing him. Like we saw it in Baltimore with Chris Davis. We've seen it in other places
Okay, it's
where
not that bad though.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, all I'm saying is when you're stuck with the contract, you're stuck with the contract. We've seen it with Soriano in the past. We've seen it with
Yeah.
multiple guys throughout the last 15 years where we didn't think it was going to come this quickly. I hope it hasn't, but boy, it sure doesn't feel like there is a corner to be turned there.
The good news is he's still your best option in the organization as a third baseman. He's still better than anyone else that would play there. So it's not like you're stuck playing him. He's legitimately your best option. The problem is that he's not your best player, and that's what he needs to be. He is still
Right.
your best third baseman. He's still a top 5, 6 player in the lineup probably on a daily basis because he's still like his stats aren't awful. They're just not superstar or even all-star caliber. I still think there's a chance that we look at the All-Star break as like he had a week to reset. He comes back and he has a really good second half, and I hope that's where it goes. But I don't know. And even if that happens, Dad, and he has a really good second half, then you definitely trade him. Like then
I,
and see his value back. Then you probably can trade him then. But for now, like he just needs to figure it out. And I know he's trying, and we heard Ollie said he's keeping him in the lineup. He wants to play through it. And we know he works hard, so I can't be mad at him. It's just it
no.
seems to be going away.
One thing that Ollie did this week that I loved, and I texted you immediately, I loved the win Burley, Contreras with Donnie in the 5-hole lineup. Now, it didn't pay off, but I loved it. So,
Yeah.
I just think Brendan Donovan, I understand him in the leadoff spot, and I think they'll probably still do that, especially against tough lefty or however tough
They
righties, I
haven't
guess.
been. Wynn's been batting leadoff every day.
That's what I'd love to see. I think Brendan Donovan right now, the way he's hitting in that 5 slot, man, that just
I'd bat him
to
fourth.
I mean, sure.
Why did they sell Paul Goldschmidt a run producing spot? He's like one of the worst hitters with runners in scoring position on the team. Why is he still batting
It
fourth?
goes back to what I said in the opening. When Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Gorman aren't producing offensively all at the same time, now Goldie hit a bomb, Nolan hit a
Yeah,
bomb.
whatever.
I understand all of that. I get
Who
that,
cares?
right? But when they're not producing consistently, I guess I should add that
Yeah.
onto there. It's hard. That lineup takes a massive hit
Who are
because
your
what do
four
you
best
do?
hitters right now? You had to list your four best hitters on the team.
Well, then you would have Donovan hitting fourth. Yeah, I mean,
It'd be
Ollie
yeah,
Wilson has struggled.
yeah, but still, I mean, he's been great. He's just going through. He's trying to get his timing back. But it'd be Wynn, Burleson, Contreras, Donovan. Those are the four. And then when Nootbaar's back, he's your fifth. Like
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. Like you bet Goldie and Arenado need about like sixth and eighth whenever Nootbaar's back.
It almost does feel that way, which is wild. Like,
Yeah, I mean it sucks, but it is what it is. Like perform or don't at some point.
if I was to tell you that coming into this season, you would think we'd be 10 games under 500, wouldn't you?
Still time. There's still time. It could happen. Like who knows? I'm
Hey,
hoping that one of them gets go. You need one of them to get go. Like for me, I think one of them needs to start hitting for power, and the other one needs to be. Paul Goldschmidt. Because Nolan Arenado needs to hit for some power. He's
We've
like
said that for 4 months now. I don't see it happening.
no, that homer he did hit off the Reds was nice to see, but then the next day he cost them a game off it defensively, and it's like, okay, well, here we go. So I don't know.
You continue to try to put him down, but Michael Ciani continues to be the center
I've never
fielder.
put him down.
Well, it does feel like
I
maybe
have
you
a
have.
tweet. Hold on. It says, I love Michael Ciani. I don't care who knows it. That was my last
Well,
tweet
that
about the
was after a
Cardinals.
few profoundly terrible things you've said about him on here. So
I've never said any terrible things about him. I just don't think he's a good hitter.
he's playing. He's a spark plug down there. I don't know what they're going to do when Tommy comes back. It's a good problem to have. Let's put it like that.
It's not a problem. Tommy Edman plays in center field.
Well, you keep saying that. I don't know that's what they're
Michael
going to do.
Ciani is legitimately maybe the best defensive center fielder in baseball. Um, and I don't know how you value that over Tommy Edman being way better offensively and maybe not that much worse defensively. It just depends on how if Tommy ever comes back. He's spraining ankles fielding ground balls now. So I don't know, but yeah, he's been really good. Ciani's been way better than I could have ever thought he would be. Like he's been what I was hoping Victor Scott would be after they called him up. And
Yeah.
that's good.
I think the question still for me is that's going to be interesting to see what they do with Dylan Carlson. Like what does his role become on this team, in this franchise, in this organization, whatever. I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see because I mean, when you're looking at Victor Scott and Jordan Walker staring right up at you, I mean, where does Dylan Carlson stand in this organization? Now, you kind of solved one of those problems. You move Alec Burleson to first base next year, but again, I I I hate it. I wanted him to be so good. I wanted him to be great. I know that he also works his ass off, so you want him to be great. I
Yeah.
just don't know I don't know what happens with him right now at all.
He's getting to a point to where if they DFA'd him, I wouldn't blame them. Like he doesn't provide much. It sucks. Like I think they can if they can trade him for a reliever at the deadline, that's what I'm doing.
Same.
Like, and I like Dylan Carlson a lot. I think, like we say this a lot. Maybe he'll be good if he goes somewhere like Tyler O'Neill's been. Maybe who knows? But I do think if you're gonna have a fourth outfielder that can play center field and take at bats off the bench, it should be Michael Ciani or it should be Tommy Edman, depending on how you value Ciani's defense. And also, like Gorman comes into play there a little bit if he's still playing poorly and they start playing Tommy Edman at second base, like that's also possible. But no, see, and for me, Brendan Donovan is my left fielder now. I'm not moving him off that position.
Well, he made two great catches.
He's been
I
awesome out
posed
there.
this to you, so I'll pose it to everybody watching. By the way, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. If you'd hit that subscribe button, we'd appreciate that too, or the follow button if you're on Apple, Spotify, whatever. Thank you again. Brendan Donovan might be the best defensive left fielder in the National League.
Yeah, he might be. I don't know. I have to look at the stats because I don't know. But yeah, he's really good out there. He's saved them a lot of runs. Like he's actually become no, he no longer looks like an infielder that's decent enough at an outfield for an infielder. He looks like a legitimately good outfielder. Like you wouldn't be able to tell he didn't play outfield for most of his career if you watch him right now. So it's a
Agree.
credit to him. Like people are saying he should win the Gold Glove for utility again. Like he's not a utility man. He plays left field every day. He should win the left field Gold Glove probably.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Any concerns still with Wilson, or you think that just timing, or are you still concerned that you said last time you worried he's still maybe a little bit hurt?
Yeah, I don't think he's hurt. Like he had a couple of bats in the last two games against the Reds where he hit balls really hard the other way. He looks fine. I think he's figuring it out. Like, I think it's just going to take him like give him another week. I would say of maybe struggling through some things, looking ugly in some at bats, and then he'll start getting into it.
Newt is back at Springfield, right? I think he's doing a rehab
Hit a
assignment at
homer
Springfield.
in his first
Huh?
game.
Yeah, I saw that. Walker starting to hit. I think it's going to be interesting what happens over the next 3 weeks because I mean they're going to have to figure out that roster, that 26-man roster, which we seem to talk about every time because it does feel like it needs to be talked about all the time. With that being said, I think maybe Mo listens. I think Mo listens to our podcast because last time you said let's bring back the Memphis Shuttle, and what happened? We started to use the Memphis Shuttle. Shout out Gordon Graceffo, by the way, and
He's
then
awesome.
shout out to the guy's name that I cannot pronounce. So shout out to him too.
Bozakovic, something like that.
Sure, him.
Boyakovic, I don't know. It's something like
Yep,
that. He sounds like
yep.
a basketball player from the '90s, but
Or
yeah,
on the Denver Nuggets.
he hasn't pitched yet, so
I know, but I'm
we'll
just
see
saying
how
for
he does. But
getting the call.
yeah, it's nice to see that happening again. Forever, it wasn't happening, and it kind of sucks. Kyle Leahy did everything you could have asked him to do, so it does suck that he's in AAA now. But unfortunately, that's the reality of their role. Like if he pitched more like Ryan Fernandez, he'd be up here.
Yeah,
So
Ryan
he's been
Fernandez has
awesome.
been fantastic.
Yeah, he could have
What
won
do they
reliever of
hate
the
Andre
month, but
Granillo?
I mean, there might be something they know that I don't about his
That's
stuff.
true. Well, we
Like, I
will
don't
talk.
know.
I'll save that because I think next pod we have Kareem and Kyle on, so I kind of want to talk to them about him.
Yeah, to be fair, I haven't seen many people that watch those games every day really be asking for him to get called up. So I don't
Very,
know. It
very
might be
valid.
something I don't know.
Very valid. So that's something I'd like to talk about. But yeah, I mean, the future, you're getting guys back. Let's get to the pitching a little bit. First of all, shout out to my guy Lance Lynn. 1,000
Mhm.
strikeouts with the Cardinals. I don't remember they gave the number fifth, sixth all time, something like
I think
that.
he's fifth behind Bob
But I
Force, something
think
like
if he
that.
gets 93 more, he moves into third place all time on the Cardinals list. That's pretty fantastic. I believe
Behind
that's
Gibby
Gibby and
and
Wayno.
Wayno. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
But when you're
the
putting your name in there with Dizzy Dean and Bob Forsch and those guys, that's pretty rarefied air. One again, he sits on my Mount Rushmore of Cardinal pitchers of all time. I absolutely have loved Lance Lynn. I know that the last game was terrible when you gave him the lead and he did not carry it, but boy, was he a fucking bulldog the other night, going six when you needed him to and doing everything that he had to keep you in that game. I just love everything about Lance Lynn.
and he could have gone seven. Like he only threw like 78 pitches. I think Ollie's been really trying to keep his rotation healthy. I think um he sees what we see, which is if one of those guys goes down, you might be in a really bad spot and really overextending yourself. If you have Palante and Liberatore in your rotation, that's not a good place to be. So I think it's kind of, even though people get frustrated by it, I think it's smart what he's been doing, pulling guys earlier. You got to keep them healthy, especially Sonny. You just can't like Sonny Gray. You're a Sonny Gray injury away from the season being over, in my opinion. So I
Yeah,
think I like what he's been doing in that case. I mean that spot, but I like Lance a lot. Obviously, he's been great. I can't believe he's fifth all time, and like I would not have guessed that. There are so many great Cardinal pitchers. Like I would not guess that he would had more strikeouts than Chris Carpenter, but he has. Like that's crazy
yeah,
to me.
yep. Um, every time I give him his flowers, he pees on them. And every time I shit on him, he goes out and gets flowers. So I'm not talking about Miles Michaelis ever again.
Yeah, not a good start. Not a good start at all.
I just
He's a number five starter. They're
he's
paying
not
as a
being
number two
paid like a
starter.
number five starter,
That's
bro.
not his fault. What do you want to do?
I
Turn
am
on the money and say I'm not
I'm
going to be good
not
enough?
blaming him for how much money he's making. I would never ever do that. But it's I just don't know what to make of him, bro. I guess it's just going to be one of these like it's going to be the roller coaster, right? Like that's what we're riding, the Miles Michaelis roller coaster.
Yeah, I guess. Like if he gets lucky, he'll be good. If he gets unlucky, he's going to give up 10 runs in 4 innings.
Would have liked to have seen Sonny be a little bit better after Nolan makes the
Way
error and
better.
not
Well, he
like
wasn't
that's
in after that. He got taken out after.
yeah, that's true. That's okay. That's
He would have
valid.
gone five and
Never
given
mind.
up two, which isn't a Sonny Gray start you expect against the Reds, but still, that's a serviceable start that you should win most times. That game is just solely on Arenado. Like that, to be quite honest, like that was pretty pathetic to do that. Like it does seem like he's as in his head as any player I've ever watched, especially good ones. He reminds me of
Yeah,
Jaime Garcia. Like when things start to go wrong, they just go really wrong, and I can't explain it. I didn't watch him enough with he was with Colorado to know if that's been a thing that he just overcame because he was so good. But it just like that explains to me, like we've been saying that about the postseason and why it seems like he doesn't perform in those spots because he just gets so jacked up and it just never goes well. And at some point he's got
yeah.
to figure it out. Like you've been playing in this league for a long time. I don't know how he can still be so frantic all the time in big situations.
12 games left before the All-Star break, which I want to talk about here in just a minute. But you got three at Pittsburgh, three at Washington. Now, for those of you who are not watching Washington, they just called up James Wood. He's
Mm-hmm.
up. Dylan Cruz is hitting at AAA. Obviously, he's not going to be up when we see him. But that Nationals team, thank you, Juan Soto. They're close, dude. I'm not saying that they're there this year. All right, I feel like they're maybe one, maybe even 2 years away. I don't know that answer yet, but that team can score runs, and
Mm-hmm.
they also have guys who can pitch on that team. And
They have
don't
one
take
guy
them
that can
lightly.
pitch
And
on
we're
that
gonna go
team.
see. We're getting ready to see Mitch Keller, and we're getting ready to see Jared Jones back to back. Now Jones had his last start skipped because they're monitoring innings, like we knew they would do. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what you're going to get there. But after that, you got two in Kansas City. We know how they can hit. And they also, if they're coming at you with Reagans and Singer and Seth Lugo, who might start the All Star game, like they're coming at you with those guys, and then you go to Wrigley for four.
No, that's a home.
Or sorry, home. My apologies. Home for four against the Cubs. That
Cubs suck, but
big
yeah,
12 games here though.
yeah. I'd say, I mean, 7-5 would be great.
Have to. You have to go
going to the
7-5.
All-Star break, 5 games over 500, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Anything better than that's awesome. I mean, even if you can't really, you never want your team to limp into the All-Star break. You want to feel good coming off that. But I don't know, like it's gonna be tough. Like the Pirates are not, they're really bad offensively. That
Yes.
doesn't mean that we're not gonna have a blow up start from Michaelis or something. We might, but you've got to beat one of Jones or Keller, and then you've got to really put some runs on Martin Perez. I know for some reason the Cardinals can't hit left-handed pitchers anymore. A lot of that's because of Arenado and Goldschmidt, who are no longer hitting them for some reason. But you got to beat him. So you got to win one of the other two games, beat him, take 2 of 3, and then go on from there. But for Washington, they're good. But can they move CJ Abrams off a shortstop, for God's sake? That poor guy. Why is he still playing there? He
You think
makes
they move
an
him to
error a
where do you
game.
think they move him? Second?
Or an outfield, like
Well,
maybe.
they're not going to
Their
move him to the
outfield's
outfield.
crowded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second or third, yeah, but he can't play shortstop anymore. He leads
Yeah.
the league in errors by like 3. He
He
had another one
definitely
tonight.
seems he definitely seems to like appear like he should be playing second base for them.
It's just a tough position to play at, especially if you're like
Yes.
Bobby Wood Jr. went through that and then he figured it out. So maybe CJ will do the same. But he's kind of old enough now to where I think you know who he is as a fielder. I don't know. He's a great hitter though. He has like an 850 OPS.
Yeah, James Wood is what 6'7" and hits bombs. So
James Wood is the reason the Cardinals couldn't get Juan Soto, if you were wondering.
correct. Well, so was CJ Abrams and Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, the entire thing.
We
Yeah.
did not have any one of those three guys unless they were going to just moving on from the Nationals because we're getting ahead of ourselves. Getting to the Pirates, let's go ahead and let's go through our predictions. I'm going to say they take 2 of 3, and Brendan Donovan is going to be my offensive guy.
I'm gonna take 2 of 3 too, because why would I'm not gonna say they're gonna lose the Pirates. I don't know. Like I want to pick one of the guys that are awful right now, but I don't see it. I'm gonna go Contreras. I think he's gonna get going. Like he's hit really well, I think, against his Pirates in his career, if I remember correctly. So that'd be nice to see him get going. And also, I just don't trust Gorman against righties that throw hard, and that's what they're gonna face the first 2 games. So that like Jared Jones might be the game you sit Gorman. Like you might just say, let's not do that to him and just give him that day off.
Right, right. Do you think there's a world where we see Prieto up here at any point in time soon?
I think there comes a point where it's almost ridiculous not to give him a chance.
Agreed.
Like I don't know, maybe you just IL Gorman. I don't think you send him down. Maybe that's what you do, and he has like an impingement somewhere, and then you let Prieto come up and have a shot. But even
Good
then,
old
here's the problem
impingement.
with that: if that were to happen, something like that, or he actually were knock on wood to get injured, then you're calling up Jordan Walker, right?
Right.
And putting Donovan at second base. So I don't. It's tough for Prieto. Like that's probably a guy you trade at the deadline if someone values him.
Yeah. That's gonna be interesting to see how they handle that because Fermin's still on. Is he still on this
He's
roster?
on
I
the team,
assume.
but I just don't understand why he's on the team over Luke and Baker.
I don't.
Well, it's just the problem is they're not playing Fermin at second. Like it makes sense if Fermin's playing second base. He's not. Like he's
No.
never playing second base. So just I'd rather have Crawford play second base on one of those days.
Or Donnie.
Yeah, I'd like to keep Donovan in left field as much as I can, but
I mean, I
yeah,
get it.
play Carlson. Like I'd rather Carlson play on that day then.
Right. That's what it just doesn't make any sense when you got a guy who can give you a late inning potential at bat that could hit the ball out of the ballpark instead
Yeah,
of Fermin who does nothing. No
it's
offense, but
well, it's just frustrating because when like say you're down a run and there's a guy on and at that point you need a big swing and you go to a guy who might hit a single.
yeah, I agree.
Instead of a
It's
guy who like
mind
if he
numbing.
gets into it, it's gonna be a home run. Like that makes more sense to me. So I don't know.
Mind numbing. Before we get out of here, I think we'd be there's a few things I want to get hit to around the league really quickly, but I think we'd be remiss not to bring up Orlando Cepeda, another Cardinal legend, a 1967 Hall of Famer with the Cardinals. Obviously he's known for the Giants, always will be. Cha-Cha, Baby Bull, all of that, no doubt about it. But an absolute legend. You look at that 1967 team and the amount of people who they've lost, like that's wild when you think of I mean, Gibson, Brock, Shane Deans was obviously the manager. McCarver, Cepeda. I'm
Shannon.
missing some. I thought I said Shannon, but
Oh, no.
Shannon. Maybe I didn't say that. Yeah, I mean,
Kurt Flood, was he on
Kurt
that team?
Flood.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Was I don't. I should know that. I don't know if he was on
I
that
think he
67
was. I
team or
think he's in
not,
that iconic picture, isn't he?
but I believe that he was. Yeah. Either
Yeah, I think
way,
so.
when you just look at that 67 team, that's legendary team, and obviously, I mean, 1967. If I tell you that's 57 years ago, that's hard to believe. Like, it doesn't
I
seem
wasn't
like it should
alive,
be.
so I believe it.
Well, I wasn't alive either.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it'd be like I don't know. I believe that. Yeah,
But legendary Cardinal, I mean, I think he was 83 or 85, 86. Yeah, one of those. I don't remember.
he
I
was in
looked
his
that up.
80s.
Yeah, either way. Sad to see. Always hate to lose the legends. It seems like we're losing the legends quickly.
Yeah,
Uh,
baseball's lost a
very
lot of people over the
a
last.
lot in the last few
Well, since
years.
2020, it's felt like it's
Yes.
been bad.
Yep.
Um,
Agreed.
it sucks. It feels like we
Just
don't have many. Like when we go to like Cardinal opening day, there's just not. It's not the same. Like without some of the people there, and that's another one. That's a Hall of Famer.
just a few things around the league, and I'll get your take, and then we'll get out of here. We Cardinals do miss Paul Skeens. Thank goodness, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Just so you know, the list of every pitcher in history to strike out 70 batters in the first 9 games of their major league career while not allowing more than a dozen runs is Paul Skeens, and that is it.
Hey, he's been awesome. Like he's gonna make a run at the Cy Young, I think, if he's up all year. Problem is gonna be the innings, but he's sorry, their cat. So he's been everything you could have ever like he's legitimately been like it's clear now that he was the number one pick. Like at the time there was Dylan Cruz and Wyatt Langford talk, but Paul
Yep.
Skeens was the clear number one pick. The only thing holding him back, honestly, was that he's a pitcher and pitchers are scary to draft ahead of position players. But he's awesome. Like he stays healthy, you're looking at one of the most talented guys we've seen. Like he's up there with DeGrom in terms of talent that I've
Yeah, I
seen.
mean the Strasburg comparisons have always been there, and I can see
Mhm.
why. Like, and the other thing that was the potential of not him going number one was that it was the Pirates who were drafting, so you never
Yeah.
know what they're going to do there. But shout out to them, and also shout out for the way they've handled it. I know Pirates fans are looking at, hey, you're only whatever 5 games out of the wild card, but the future is Jarrett Jones and Paul Skeens and Keller. You can't just run wild, like you can't run rough shot with those two guys. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle them down the stretch. But in my opinion, I want to see Paul Skeens start the All Star game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, who else would even be in line with that? There hasn't been as many great pitchers starting pitching performances this year. So I
I
don't even know what to
mean,
think for it.
a week ago it would have been Imanaga, and then he gave up 10 runs.
Yeah, he's
So
not been very good. Tyler Glasshouse been great. It might be him. Like he might be the one to get it. Yeah, I mean, that'd be great if Paul Skeens is in line for it. Obviously, we have to see how that works out. But
must watch TV. Just a few things also around the league. Paul DeJong leads the White Sox with 15 home runs. What do you think about that?
I think if he was playing third base, our team would be better. And that's a scary reality that we're in. It's true, is it not?
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I I don't know if anybody watches them, but you and I in this area. Like obviously, when I say this area, I mean the St. Louis area, even though we are in the 504 right now. But the Orioles hit 60 home runs in June. I did not say that wrong. They hit
Santander
60,
hit 13.
and Gunner hit like 11 or
Yeah,
something like that.
they hit 24 for me this month on my fantasy team.
60 in June.
That's
There's
crazy.
30 days in June.
Yeah, so that's a 320 home run pace if you do that all year,
I
or might even more than
That's
that. Actually.
unbelievable. That,
Yeah, they're
I
crazy.
think 360 maybe if you
And the
really
funniest
want to
thing
look at it,
is,
but
the weirdest thing about that is they've been kind of scuffling lately. They got swept by the Astros. They dropped 2 or 3 to the Rangers over the weekend, and they still are just mashing. It's their pitching that's kind of failing them right now.
yeah, that's that's what they're gonna do because and also they've called up Kerstead and all he's doing is hitting bombs.
And yeah, and Cowser and Stowers and all these guys that they call up that are great. They're all
And they
like
got like five
photocopies
guys
of
at
each
Double
other.
A who are unbelievable.
It's like they all are the same person, just some are a little bit more developed and better. It's wild.
That's
And
a fun team to.
Jackson
I
Holiday, I
really
haven't even
hope
heard a
that
word about him
I
in
really hope
weeks.
Elias goes for it and goes out and really gets. And I think he will if he's given the money from the ownership group. That and they've got the. I mean,
They
they've got
will.
the. What
Yeah.
is the word I'm looking for? They've got
Prospect
the
capital.
people to do it. That's not what I was trying to say, but you know where I'm going with there.
Yeah.
Capital. They've got the capital to do it.
That's what I
I just
said.
hope that they do it. Okay, sorry, I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
you also brought him up why Langford hits for the cycle. That was awesome. And the ESPN call was potentially the worst call I've ever heard in my life for a guy
Yeah,
who hit for a cycle with a home run.
I don't want to get into that, but yeah. I mean, it's cool. Do you think the cycle's overrated?
No,
I
no,
kind of
you do.
Arenado's
Hold
hit
on.
for it
A
twice.
single, double, triple home run in the same game is overrated.
It is because 3 home runs is a better game, like without a doubt.
Absolutely. Did not say that.
No,
That doesn't
but what I'm
mean,
saying is people look at cycles because it's so rare, I guess, but it's really not. There's like 10 or 12 a year. It seems so rare and it's like a circumstantial feat. Like you just have to hit the ball just right. But if like if you're up, let's say you have a triple, a double, a homer and you're up in the ninth inning and you hit a home run, people are going to talk about you less if you do that than if you hit a single. And I think it's
That
stupid.
that's valid. Okay, I see where I don't think it's overrated, but I understand what you're saying there. I get that.
But it
Um,
is a cool thing.
if
Like
let me ask
not
you
to
a
crap on
question.
Langford, but
Let me ask you a question. If you had a double, triple, and a home run, and your
mhm.
team's up like 7-2 in the bottom of the eighth, and you hit a BB in the gap, are you stopping it first?
Are they paying you for slugging percentage or cycles? So I'm going to
So the
second.
answer is no. I
I'm
think
going to
every
second.
baseball player would say no. By the
I
way,
want the extra base hit. I like extra base
yeah,
hits more than a single, no matter what the
100%.
circumstance.
John Mabry, right for the Cardinals, did the cycle in order, right? The
Yeah, it's
natural
called the
cycle.
natural cycle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Has
yeah.
anyone? I want to know if anyone's ever done a reverse cycle. I don't think
I
so.
would
That'd be
assume
cool
that
though.
the answer
I
is
don't think
yes.
so. I really don't. I've never seen it.
Huh? I don't know that. I don't know that answer. Somebody
I
out
want to see
there help
someone
us
do the
out.
home run cycle and hit a single, double, triple, and a solo, double, triple, and grand slam in the same game.
Yeah. The last two things I've got, and then we'll get out of here. Shout out to the best athlete I've ever seen in my life, Bo Jackson, being inducted into the Royals Hall of Fame. There's arguments you can argue, Dion. That's fine. Like I'm not going to say you're wrong. Brian Jordan was an. I mean, Bo Jackson in my lifetime, to what I saw, was the greatest athlete I've ever seen.
Yeah, I never watched him, but I think Adley Rushman is because he tackled Christian McCaffrey in college.
Okay. All right.
I'm
All right. There
kidding.
you go.
Kidding. No, yeah. I didn't know he was inducted into there. I wonder how many people they have in it. Like, is it as big of a deal as it is for the Cardinals? I'd like to know. Like, do they have a
I
Blue
don't
Jay
know that answer. I mean, obviously you've got Saberhagen, you've got
Brett?
Brett, you've
Yeah.
got Lee. I assume
Did you see what
um
George Brett said, by the way? Sorry
Wittenberry's in
to
there.
interrupt you.
Frank
Yeah.
White.
Yeah, they have, I mean, I'm sure they have plenty of people in it. You see what he said the other day? George
Who?
Brett?
No.
George Brett. He said that people need to swing flat if they want to hit as well as he did. I'm like, yeah, okay.
George. George
George is
always
a
has
great
something to
hitter,
say, it
but
feels like.
like what? Yeah, I mean, he's obviously he's an oddball anyway, but yeah, if you want to hit like George Brett did, and you're probably not making as much money as Aaron Judge does. Like, I don't
think
think he needs to
potential
follow your philosophy.
think potentially you're being very kind by calling him an oddball there. So yeah, I think that's
Well, you have pent up anger against him for the '80s. I don't. I didn't. I wasn't alive for
yeah.
the series.
Yeah, it's hard for me. I mean, hard for me
He's
to
a great
root for
player.
any of those guys.
It's hard for
Absolutely.
me to like question how Hall of Famers talk about hitting because obviously they know more than I do. But I just
Correct.
find it so funny that people like him and Pete Rose come out and talk about launch angle. Like, it just makes no sense to me. But whatever.
Yep. I think the problem is just the way the game is played today, and the skill of the game, and the pace of the game, and the size of the players of the game. It's just different. It's just
It's
totally
also
different game.
ridiculous when they bring up strikeouts and they only talk about launch angle, but never seem to mention the fact that the pitchers are way better than the ones they faced.
Correct. Correct.
Like, yeah, they're not throwing 92 when they come out of the bullpen anymore, George.
Right.
So I'm sure they're
Valid.
going to strike out more. It's so
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Last thing, I wanted to give another shout out to Craig Kimbrell. Can you believe that he had not recorded a? He's the antithesis of Ryan Helsley. He had not recorded a one-run save until this weekend, and he did it twice. Um, Fifth all time in saves. He's a Hall of Famer, right? Craig Kimbrell's a Hall of Famer.
Not until Billy Wagner gets in.
Don't even get me going on that one,
Is it
bro.
just like
Don't
I
even.
don't know? Like, should he be? Yeah. So should Kenley Jansen. So should Billy Wagner and Roller Chapman probably should be. I don't know if they will. Like the way they value closers is strange. Like Trevor Hoffman was a no doubter to get in, but Billy Wagner has no chance. It seems like it doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense to me either. I think to me Kimbrell's in. I think Jansen's probably going to get in too. If you
Mm.
really want to look
Chapman won't
at
get in for many reasons, but
who?
Chapman.
No, Jansen. I said.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like
Yeah,
Jansen and Kimbrel to me definitely should get in. Chapman, ability wise on the field, he has an argument, but off the field stuff will probably keep him out.
correct. Probably keeps him out, which is. I mean, that's a whole
Fair.
nother argument we can get
Well, I
into
mean,
about
if
the
you're not
Hall of
going to
Fame. And
put Kurt Schilling in, then you definitely can't put Aroldis Chapman in.
agree. Yeah, the subjectivity of the Hall of Fame is a whole nother issue that we could talk
I mean,
about.
Roberto Alomar's in, and he's, Roberto Alomar.
I mean, Rogers Hornsby's in, guys. So Chris
Well,
Speaker's in.
mm-hmm. Ty Cobb, go
So
look up some things about those three
yeah,
guys.
yep. So either way, all right. Anything else you got before we get out of here?
No, I do think this week's important for the Cardinals. Just to like, you don't want to go into the All Star break on a bad note. Um, and honestly, the Mets they're coming. The Padres are playing really good baseball right now. They've got to hopefully create some separation here because I think they're gonna slide again at some point where they have a bad week or two, and you don't want that to mean that you fall 5 games back because you didn't build any ground.
Okay, I agree. I agree with it. Also, the Padres Mets playing very well. So
That's what I said.
yeah, I'm saying like
Yeah,
you've
they're good.
got to.
They're both hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Do you think it's
literally
because of
think
Grimace, or do you think
I
that's
think I
too?
just went into maybe I don't know, my happy place for a minute and didn't hear one word you said. So that's why I
That's
repeated
fine.
what
Let's
you
get out of
said.
here then.
Okay. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Hey, also, we will have Kareem and Kyle coming up. We're not sure on the date on that yet,
Soon.
but we'll do that soon. That's probably going to be this week. Also, have a fantastic fourth. Get yourself some Husker do's and some Husker don'ts, but also get yourself a long ass match so you don't lose a finger while you're at it. Hopefully, the Cardinals take 2 or 3 in Pittsburgh. We'll talk to you soon. Go Cards.